Good afternoon, everyone. We're sorry for the delay. We had a little kerfluffle with the Zoom link, so we have that resolved, and we are ready to begin when you are.
Okay, let's get started. I'll call the meeting to order.
Thank you. I just wanted to welcome everybody for attending our GPAC meeting number 4.
You got to turn that down.
I will turn it over to Pam for roll call. Do you have a microphone, Pam? Nobody can hear you. Okay. All right, bring me the agenda. Bring me the thing. I'll do it. No problem. I'm done with technical difficulties. We'll just do it however we got to do it. All right. Awesome. So Paul, are you online? Or have you marked present?
Okay.
All right. We're going to keep going. I see Phil. Phil's present. Benjamin Murphy. If you are attending remotely, please unmute yourself and let us know you are here.
A quick note, I noticed that per your directions, I transferred myself to the panelist list, but I noticed most of the other members of the committee are on the attendees list.
Okie doke. Then for those that are currently attendees, when you get the offer to become a panelist, please accept that offer so that you're able to talk. This is a webinar format Zoom meeting, and in such, it does protect us from being hacked, but there are differences between being an attendee and a panelist. So please transfer over to panelist. I will rely on Pam's looking at the participant list to tell me if people are here. Do you see Benjamin Murphy? No. Okay, Betsy? Well, that's odd. Okay, because I'm expecting her here. Sharon couldn't make it today. Dan Terrell? Yes. Kyle Bill? Marty Ehrberg? Yes. Marty declined. Okay, Weston Seifert?
Here.
No, we have your name backwards on the roster. Carolyn Hillman?
No, she can't attend.
Oh, right. And Fawn Williams. Oh, and some more. Fawn? No. Denise?
Yes.
Margot? April?
Yes.
Why don't I have Donna? Oh, there you are, Donna. You already marked present, so I skipped your name. Excellent. Okay.
Donna?
We're ready to proceed. Just a quick agenda review. It has been posted. We had that confusion with the link, but that looks like it's getting better. We did at the last moment enter a pro-housing designation because we wanted to take the opportunity to talk to, just let you know what we're pursuing this month for a pro-housing designation with the state. And we have the Deputy CAO, Lisa Jedd, to talk about it. We then have our 2 hours of discussion going over the water resources element and the agricultural resources element. And then next steps will close us out. I am going to now turn this over to Denise to turn it over to Lisa. Go ahead, Denise.
All right. So pro-housing designation, 15 minutes. Let's make it 10.
All right, I'll go ahead and get started without the slide presentation because I'm not sure. I gotta get that set up. So let me just start out by saying I'm Lisa Judd, Deputy County Administrative Officer for Housing. I've been working collaboratively with the Community Development Department and Shannon and Maria, Director Turner, to make the application for the Pro-Housing Designation Program. And what is the Pro-Housing Designation Program? It's an initiative put forth by the California Housing and Community Development Department. They're looking for jurisdictions that are doing proactive practices, a lot of P's, in order to further the state's housing goals. And what does that look like for us? It looks like anything that we can do to further development by reducing barriers that are unnecessary and streamlining processes. Currently, one of the things that we're looking for to forward this at the end of this month and kind of pushing for is because the Pro-Housing Designation allows us, it's a certification by the state that allows us to be competitive for grants when we're looking for that funding. And in housing, obviously, we need to have funding so that we can help with that capital stack to further our housing goals. And in that, we have an opportunity with the Pro-Housing Incentive Program to apply for $750,000 if we're able to get that designation and application in at the end of the month. And part of that process is the public participation process. I feel like there's a lot of P's in this presentation. There's a list of, on the flyer, I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to get the flyer, I can hand it to you. And it has a list of different grants that give us that competitive edge in addition to that Pro-Housing Incentive Program. One of the nice things about the Pro-Housing program that we're applying for is that if you get your designation the first time, it allows you to have a competitive edge over others in the sense that someone with higher points may not get it, and we would because it's our first time. And what the application process looks like is there are 4 different areas that you can apply for, and you have to get points for each one of the categories. We need a threshold of 30 points. Looking at it today, we have about 56 points, which puts us at a pretty competitive position. The 4 areas are the favorable land use and zoning, acceleration of housing production, reduction of construction and development costs, and providing financial subsidies. In addition, there's enhancement factors for things that you do above and beyond in your housing. Now, one of the nice things about the Pro-Housing application is that there are different options. We don't have to just do everything that they tell us on the list. We can look and see what makes sense for our community, and we can select those options. For example, there was one that was about parking minimums, and that was definitely not something that was supported in the community, so we didn't elect to pursue that. One of the first things we did is looking at our housing element and our housing action and implementation plan, and the policies and strategies that are in that, and the goals, those are the ones that we selected. So the things that we already have and the things that we are pursuing currently that we've already engaged with the community. So there was a lot of community engagement with the Housing and Action and Implementation Plan, the HAPE. And so we used that to kind of be the foundation for the different types of things that we chose in the Pro-Housing application. Right now we're doing the public participation process, and on the flyer that I'll hand to you, there's QR codes as well as links to the surveys, and I can email that to your group as well, so that way it's a little bit easier to go to the links. And it's a quick survey. I know everyone's got a lot of surveys. It's about a 5 question survey, and it really gives us some input from the community. And it is something that is fluid. So as we go on in future times and we add things to that would qualify us, we can get additional points and essentially be more competitive so that we can get those funding from those grants.
Question. When is the application going in?
March 31st.
Okay, so it's using the old general plan. It's not impacting the new one at this point.
You're right. That is absolutely correct. And again, this is something that we can update as we go. There's a few threshold requirements. You have to have a current housing element. You have to have a homeless encampment summary, and several other factors. There are a bunch of eligible uses for the funding, pre-development, acquisition of housing, affordable rental. But one of the things that we're looking at most for this round in particular is through the matching funds for the Housing Trust Fund. So the Lake County Regional Housing Trust Fund was established in December 2024, and we're hoping that we'll be able to receive these funds, put it in that trust fund so that we can do what our community would like to prioritize for housing.
Great.
So I apologize that I didn't get a chance to set up with a nice slideshow for you, and you're getting a very abbreviated version. I will say that if you go on YouTube, the Board of Supervisors meeting on 3/3, there was a presentation with our consultant as well, and that slideshow is there if you'd like to look at it. And again, if you go to the County of Lake Administration, the housing's on the left. There's a section there about the pro-housing designation, the Housing Action Implementation Plan, and the Housing Trust Fund. So kind of all those three items that I was speaking about.
Great. Thank you very much. Any questions from the panel? All right. And this came to the board, right? The Board of Supervisors as well?
Yes, it
All right.
did.
Great. Thank you. Any questions from the public on this? All right, let's move on to presentation and questions and answers. So Mireya, you want to take it from here?
We do have Placework staff, which will cover the presentation. I'll turn this over to them.
Great, thank you. Let me share the presentation. Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to see you all again. My name is Tanya Sundberg, and I'm a principal at Placeworks, and we are the firm working with the county to prepare the general plan update. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today and taking the time to provide your thoughtful responses to our survey and providing your comments over email. And we're really looking forward to discussing your feedback and ideas today. So Mireya already gave a great overview of the meeting. I'll just summarize here that this presentation I'll deliver now is going to cover some project updates since our last meeting with you about a year ago in February 2025. And then that will be followed by a brief overview of the draft general plan. So starting with the project updates and our process, as you may recall, your last GPAC meeting in February 2025 focused on land use designation and boundary changes. Since then, in addition to incorporating your input gathered through those GPAC meetings, our team incorporated input gathered from the LAPAC meetings, the community, and the County Board of Supervisors into an initial draft general plan. That draft was then circulated with tribal governments who provided recommended revisions and additions that are reflected now in the public draft general plan, which we published last February. And we have also identified potential impacts that could result from implementation of the draft general plan in a separate document. That's called the Draft Environmental Impact Report, or EIR, and that's also out for public review now. So as GPAC members, you've been involved in the general plan update from the start. So you're familiar with much of the process that we followed to prepare this draft plan. But I will provide here a recap just to explain each of the steps we took. So we started by working with the community to identify the needs, priorities, opportunities, and concerns for the future of Lake County. And then over the course of 2 years, we honed our understanding through a series of community meetings, surveys, focus group discussions, and meetings with this GPAC, along with the LAPACs, the local area plan advisory committees, and the Board of Supervisors. And then we conducted a careful review of the existing general plan and each local area plan to identify content that should be retained, modified, or removed to better meet the local priorities we heard from you and others in the community through those engagement efforts, as well as to make sure the new general plan will meet the current state law requirements. We also identified content in the local area plans that would be beneficial to consider for other areas to support the community identified needs and issues for those areas. And in doing so, we did discover there was considerable overlap between the current general plan and the local area plans. And then following evaluation of the existing plans and considering community input, we identified gaps in the policy framework to address community identified priorities or general plan state law requirements. So then we prepared new goals, policies, and actions to fill those gaps. And we incorporated updated background content to make sure that all of the goals, policies, and actions are supported by contextual information. So these next two slides provide an inventory of the touch points we had with the community across the 2 years, where we were identifying and further refining our understanding of local needs, priorities, opportunities, and concerns. So that includes 2 rounds of community meetings and surveys, and that's followed by the current round of meetings and a survey focused on feedback on the draft general plan. So those happened. We started back in spring 2024 with a discussion with the community about their priorities and issues. And then in fall 24, we talked about land use and boundary changes and policy options for key issues. So those all happened before we prepared the draft. And now we're in this round of getting feedback on the draft general plan. We also held stakeholder focus group meetings. Those included focus group meetings on the topics of environmental justice, a meeting with the Spanish-speaking community, and a meeting focused on agriculture. And those happened between spring and winter 2024. And then we've also, as you know, held meetings with this GPAC throughout the general plan update process. Our first meeting was back in March 2024 with a kickoff. We had a meeting in June 24 focused on the general plan overview and talking about key policy issues. And then again, last February, we talked about, February 25, we talked about land use and boundary changes. And now we're in our last series of meetings where we're seeking your feedback on the draft general plan countywide elements. And then we've also engaged and are continuing to engage with the local area plan advisory committees, those AKA the LAPACs. So we had our first round of meetings with the LAPACs in fall 24. Again, that was also focused on land use and boundary changes and policy options for key issues, focused on each local area plan. And then we're currently underway. We're about to get started with meetings with the LAPAC starting in April. Again, for feedback on the draft general plan, and this time focused on the planning area elements. So now that we've recapped how we got here, I want to walk through the updated plan and how it's organized, and then summarize the 2 elements that we're focused on discussing today. So as you've seen in the draft, the updated general plan is made up of a combination of 6 countywide elements and 6 elements that are prepared at the planning area level. So just as a recap, your current general plan is a separate document from the supplemental local area plans. And as we've just talked about at prior meetings, this general plan update includes an update to both the 2008 general plan and all 8 local area plans. And this update plan to consolidate the general plan and local area plans into one document. So that's what we've done in this draft. This draft general plan uses a hybrid organizational structure that combines countywide elements, which you can see here on the left, with planning area elements that cover the topics shown on the right. So the countywide elements address topics that affect the entire county. So you can see, for example, water, agriculture, and geothermal resources are on that list. But then the planning area elements focus on place-specific issues. Things like land use, circulation, and recreation. And those allow us to reflect the conditions and priorities of each area. This approach builds on the existing general plan and the former local area plans, but there are some key improvements for the user. Namely, you no longer need to look at both the general plan and a separate local area plan to understand the policy direction for a given topic. So for example, in the prior setup, land use guidance was provided in both the general plan document and each local area plan document. And there were some redundancies between those 2 documents. So now all of the land use guidance is provided in one place for each area, the planning area element. Also, the planning area elements are fully integrated into the general plan. They're not standalone or secondary documents, and that helps to clarify that they have the same weight as the rest of the general plan. So this approach uses a shared policy framework while allowing each community to maintain its identity and to tailor solutions. It creates a single general plan that works at multiple scales. But we also recognize that some countywide issues have different impacts in different places. And we also found through our community engagement and a review of the existing local area plans that many local issues are shared across multiple communities. So as a result, the countywide elements may include sub-area specific direction for some issues, and the planning area elements include some policies that are similar or aligned across planning areas. And similarly, I want to point out that the planning area elements all work within the same overarching countywide policy framework. So for example, each planning area element's land use map uses the same set of land use designations as the other planning area land use maps. And each planning area element's circulation map uses the same set of roadway classifications. So they're all operating under the same umbrella, but they provide that local guidance. Also just want to point out too that when a planning area element presents a map, it shows both the countywide version of that map and the version that's zoomed into the planning area, just to help ease the understanding and the contextual information for the reader. So overall, this new format offers countywide cohesion through shared goals and direction, and local relevance through community-specific detail, while compiling everything into one document that we hope will simplify the process for community members, county staff, and decision makers to understand the policy direction for a given topic in a given location. So here's the table of contents for the draft general plan. It starts with a general plan overview, and that provides background information about Lake County and its history, including its tribal history. It also reviews the organization and contents of the general plan and provides an overview of the process to develop the plan. The housing element is the first countywide element that you can see listed, but as you know, the housing element is updated on a separate timeline based on statutory requirements, so it's not included as part of this draft. And then the remaining countywide elements are presented, followed by the 8 planning area elements, and each of those covers the 6 topics that are called out to the right. Some planning area elements also include special study areas and/or design guidelines, and those are largely carried forward from the existing local area plans without significant revisions. But there are some actions in several planning area land use elements calling for the update of those components. And then finally, there are 4 appendices to the general plan. Similar to the housing element, the aggregate resources management plan is not part of this overall update, but it will remain unchanged in the new general plan. And then there are 3 new appendices for this general plan. The first is the health and safety element background report that provides more detail about safety and hazards to supplement the content that's in the main health and safety element. And then the evacuation study and climate vulnerability assessment are documents that support policy development for much of the policy guidance in the health and safety element. So the focus of today's meeting is on the water resources and agricultural resources elements. Like the rest of the general plan, each of these elements includes background information describing existing conditions regarding the topics that are covered in the element. The elements then set goals to guide decisions related to the topic over the next 2.5 decades, and then establishes policies and actions to implement those goals. So the water resources element focuses on preserving and regenerating the ecological integrity and sustainability of the county's watersheds, including all groundwater and surface water. And the agricultural resources element works to protect and sustain local agriculture as an economic driver, food source, and core component of Lake County's identity. So with that, I will stop sharing the presentation and turn it back to the chair. Thank you.
All right, let's open it for questions from the panel, from the GPAC. And I'll need somebody to tell me if there are any online folks asking a question. I do have, you saw my input and I don't need to repeat it, but I do have a couple questions. When do we get to comment again on the general We've brought up some things on the overview of the plan. For example, we need to acknowledge Mount Konocti, which is sacred to the tribal people here and the overwhelming iconic center of Lake County. I think we brought that up earlier, and it's not in the introduction. So are we going to have an opportunity to talk about those things too, or no, today?
Let's, we do have two ag resources, or two elements to talk about today. If we do have time, I know we have a hard stop at 4, we can add that today, or we can talk about it at our next, we have 2 more GPAC meetings scheduled. Okay. We'll make sure that gets covered.
Also, someone had pointed out to me that the map on page 9 is the old area plan areas, so you might want to look at that. All right, so let's open it for questions from the GPAC. Anyone? Margot.
Thank you, Madam Chair. More of a comment than a question. So it's a good methodology to take a look at the old plans and run an analysis. But in terms of transparency and for the background for each GPAC member, it would have been helpful to see that analysis.
Yeah, it would be.
Either, a table, side-by-side comparison, to see what the notes were, because all of a sudden it's a miracle. We have a new plan with new policies, actions, and I skipped something, goal, policy, actions. So if we could just follow the thought process along, but also I think there's some subjectivity involved to determine whether a policy is effective, because we're talking about evaluating something like from 0 to 20 years, and I don't think we have the benefit of status reports or progress reports. So
Margot, I'm still a little unclear on what you're asking. It's hardly a miraculous.
There are 2 parts. The first part she had mentioned was, we have changed the plan from 2008. What are the changes? And we went through the process of changing, but we don't have sort of a visual of what those changes are.
Okay.
Either like a red line.
Yeah, we don't have that because so much of it has been moved around and switched to different elements. So yeah, we did not include a red line version as part of the process.
Not so much of the draft, but just the policy analysis.
Just the policies.
Yeah, just to look at the policy. What is the current policy? Did it survive? Is it being promoted for the Lake County 2050? Or if it's being scrapped, well, okay, why? What's the reasoning behind it?
Right, and I have that same comment. I felt the 2008 plan was a very strong plan, and yet we've seen environmental degradation in the 20 years since that plan was adopted. We've seen difficulty with the hitch in the lake. We've had fires that were not, totally dealt with in the 2008 plan. We had a whole series of fires. We've seen the continuation of the lake nutrient struggles, and the Middle Creek restoration plan still has not happened. So since 2008, there's a lot that should be happening that hasn't. Mm-hmm. And so if anything, the plan that we have now should be stronger than 2008 because we haven't seen, we've seen the degradation. So the question I still have is at a very high level, what's changed? Do we still have those land use policies, or do we have to go to, 8 area plans to find them? We don't have a high level policy document on the land use of Lake County or the circulation. We do have it for ag. We do have it for water resources.
Right. Land use has been moved over into the
area plans. But there are still county-wide policies that exist, I imagine, just as there are for water. There are creeks in every area too, but we've decided that we need a county-wide plan for water resources.
Yeah, Denise, to address that, all of those land use policies that are in the local area plans do apply countywide. So we were able to make, put some specificity into the local area plans in those elements for things that were specific to the local areas, but you'll see that the rest of the policies, goals, and actions apply across all the local area plans, and those would be countywide.
Well, so you can understand as a review body how that would be hard to track, right? That things that are, I'm on this committee because I care about land use.
Sure.
And there's no
But as a
land use
topic
element.
within the local area plans, that's not going to be presented to the general plan advisory committee.
Right,
I
which
can
is
see.
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my comment, is that that's a struggle, even if they're common across all plans, to draw them out and say, these are common across all plans. Here are the policies that if you want to know what our county stands for in land use, here it is.
We do have a document that is a compilation of all the local area plans, goals, policies, and actions. And I believe it does specify which ones are countywide and which ones are area specific.
For the land use, okay.
Yeah, so that we would have that for land use. I can make sure that the GPAC gets that document as well.
Okay,
Good.
all right. Donna, did you want to say something? No? April? Okay, anybody online? All right, let's move into talking about, wait.
Angela?
Oh, yes, we have a comment.
Afternoon, everyone. I wanted to find out if someone can direct us, what happened to the section for natural resources? Not finding it in the general plan, not the local area plans.
Resource conservation, I think, has been put into the local area plans.
So
Really?
natural resources is in the local area plans? Because
Resource conservation,
so you renamed it resource conservation.
let me take a look at the old title.
Kind of care about that.
Oh, no doubt. It's not like we're dropping it.
No, it just, I was looking for it and couldn't find it. Went through the local area plan and general plan. But it might be better suited, and, we don't want to lose that institutional knowledge that we've had.
Absolutely.
And then, yeah, I guess all of this other stuff will be housed under natural resources like dark skies, and
Yeah,
we'll do the rest of it at local area.
it was a good,
So I do see Chapter 9 of the current general plan, Open Space Conservation and Recreation. It has the exact same title in the local area plans. So that's where we would look for those.
So that's what would be now.
Yeah, but it hasn't changed.
Okay, thank you.
so you're saying that natural resources is now called what?
No, I'm saying it was never called natural resources.
Okay,
The general plan chapter has open space, conservation, and recreation. There is a link on the planning website for documents that is titled natural resources. And within that link, there's the climate adaptation plan, the aggregate resources management plan. So that might be where the confusion is coming from. Because I know Angela does a lot of research. So that is called natural resources. But yeah,
got it.
yeah,
All right,
certainly.
thank you. Come on up.
Hi, everyone. Lisa Benavides from Upper Lake. I just wanted to thank the question for Margot about having this is what was previous and this is what next. I think that would be tremendously helpful for public input. I have a college degree. I've been in politics for many years. It is a beast of a document and it's really difficult to follow, but it's like a critical document. We call it the Constitution. And I think that there have been times, I consider myself a very involved person, sit on the Worth, president of the Grange, all that jazz. And I was, I don't know that these meetings are happening. And when I get the documents and I'm reading, I'm having difficulty following it. So simple things like that of like, here's a list of, these are the points that were 2008 and this is now, that I personally think that would be incredibly helpful for me and to solicit feedback from our neighbors who also care a lot, but don't have the experience with navigating documents like this. So I just wanted to thank you for that comment and give that context, because I think that those are the things that go a long way for input. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, any other public input? One hand raised. Why don't we unmute that person? Who is it? Holly Harris. Holly.
Oh, hi. Thanks. Yes, Holly Harris. Basically, I just wanted to bring something out. I'm on the local area plan committee, specifically the East Lake local area plan. And in going through trying to, correlate the local area plan with the general plan, as I look at the local area plan, you talk about all the specificity is in the local area plans, but as I'm reading it, I feel like I'm reading the general plan. For instance, the land use area and all the other areas. I just feel that there's very, very few spots where it's specific to us, but it seems to be the entire county. And then when I look at the other area plans, so for instance, I compared the East Lake to the Upper Lake. We have like 500 goals, policies, and actions in our area plan, but 489 of them are identical between our plan and their plan. And I'm really feeling like things like land use and circulation really need to be in the general plan and then have some specific stuff in our plan. I'm having a very hard time correlating the two. And that was just my comment.
Okay, thanks, Holly. Anyone else? All right. Let's move then into the discussion of water resources element. The discussion question is in your fellow GPAC survey responses. Are there any comments on the water resources element that you agree or disagree with and want to discuss? My comment on that one was that not at this time. I do have a few comments since then that I'd like to include, but I guess you have that for later. So let's just open it up to the discussion of the survey responses. Anyone? Margot.
Madam Chair, before we launch into water resources, I have a procedural question. So we had just had some questions and comments overall on the comparison of the plans. Are we going to ask our consultant and staff to act on our?
We have taken your comments into consideration and we'll discuss them.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
but
wasn't
that'll
sure
take a
what
little
was
bit of
happening.
time. No, I totally hear you, and we'll see what we could do.
Okay, thank you.
Not sure that that's a total yes. We're going to make that document, but we will talk about it as a team. Yeah.
So as Plan B, should members of the public and GPAC be running their own independent comparisons of existing policies, goals, and actions to figure out what's changed?
Well, in the meantime, the members of the public are welcome to review in whatever manner they see fit. But we will take into consideration the comments of the GPAC.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks. All right, so back to water resources. There were a number of survey responses. Are there any comments on those responses? I mean, I felt I agreed with most of what I read, that the comments that people made. Anyone? Margot.
I'm sorry, I still have a procedural question now on this, on water resources. So we had GPAC members make comments. So is the de facto response going to be, it's going to be factored into the, next draft, or?
Could you repeat that, Margot? I'm sorry.
sorry, I got
we
distracted.
We were distracted by something. Sorry about that.
What happens to our comments is the question.
To the
Comments that the GPAC has made on the water resources element, for example.
So this time period, the meetings with the GPAC and the meetings with the LAPAC, we're collecting all the comments that we can that will then go into furthering final edits of the documents, which will then be back out for final approval this fall.
Okay.
Is that the answer? I got distracted because I wasn't sure if we could see if anybody was raising their hand online. So
Right. Well, thank you for checking that because I
Yeah.
can't see it. So
Pam's got it.
thank you, Pam. So you will take the comments and you'll incorporate them as best you can into the plan.
Exactly.
What I hear? No.
Yes.
All right. I'd like to, and I might be jumping ahead, but I'd like to make a couple of comments on the water resources element, if I may.
Great.
One is that I come from the area where the Middle Creek restoration is supposed to be happening. We probably should at least make note of it somewhere. We have in the past had made mention of the Superfund site. the methyl mercury issues, et cetera, and that doesn't seem to be in the water resources element, and it probably should be. There should be a pretty in-depth discussion about managing sediment runoff, since that seems to be the highest or one of the things that makes the most difference with water quality. We have a number of issues with water quality in the lake caused by, we call out ag, but not OHV, for example. We don't mention wildfires and the scars that might impact water quality. We do mention invasive species, aquatic species, but we probably should directly call out the ones we know are the most problematic, like the mussels and the aquatic weeds. And then we do not talk about the health of the streams and the Clear Lake hitch, which is a pretty hot topic.
Okay.
So those are my comments.
Good.
Margot.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so I still have a question about procedure. So if a GPAC member submitted comments on water resources beforehand, it gets the same weight, it doesn't get more weight if it's discussed in this meeting now? Or does it have to be blessed to get more weight? So I'm just not clear on what our procedure is.
I believe it has equal weight. They're gathering comments right now. Am I wrong?
Correct.
That's
I
correct.
think today is meant to have a discussion towards some consensus for anything that was conflicting between GPAC members. Today was meant for discussion of those items to try to reach some consensus, but all comments will be considered in our next revision.
All right, so any other, in fact, they have more weight if they were submitted early, so good for you. You win the prize. Are there any comments on the water resources element and or the comments that were made on the water resources element from the GPAC? How about from the general public? Oh, do we have hands raised? Okay, let's get through the folks that have raised their hands. Okay, Holly, you're up.
Oh, hi there. Is there a place where we can actually see what the comments were from the GPAC members on water resources and agricultural resources? Because it's very hard for us to comment on them if we can't see it. I don't know if they were, I didn't see them on the website.
Yeah, we have not made the GPAC members' comments public yet. I think that today, the intention of providing public comment today would be to give that comment to your GPAC for their consideration.
Okay, so let's talk process then. There were comments submitted by the GPAC through a survey. There is a survey summary, which is nominally, my comments aren't really in there, but what your plan is to pull together a list of the comments that you have received and then share them? Is that?
We do have, and these are good. This is good because this is helping us to think through this process. We do have the General Plan Advisory Committee agenda station on the county website, as well as reporting out of past meetings on the Lake County 2050 website. What I think we're going to do is take the written stuff plus notes from these meetings, and we'll post it there.
Okay.
That way it's not available beforehand right now because we've been scrambling to actually organize all these meetings with the limited staff that we do have. But we can post it there so that it will be available for future reference. If we
Okay,
need
so
to
the
revisit
public who
something,
wants to comment
then maybe
on-
we can do that too.
So we're asking the GPAC to comment on other people's comments, which is kind of odd.
Well, we wanted the meeting to be contained within a single day. And, we want to make sure, and so we kind of used the comments submitted as sort of the launch point so that you wouldn't feel like you had to make your initial comment right away during this time period. So we're trying to make it as efficient for the GPAC as possible.
Right. So the question that Holly brings up is, how is the general public going to respond to these comments? And I don't know that they have to.
They don't really have to,
until they
yeah.
see the summary, and then
Yeah.
they should have an opportunity to respond, right?
That sounds fair. Yeah, we'll make sure that happens.
All right.
But also they can respond just to the water resources element
Exactly.
today.
Yes, that was what
That's
we're looking
the intention.
Yeah.
All right, so Holly, you still have the floor. Are there any comments you want to add to the water resources elements?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I would just like to comment that it was helpful to read through everybody's comments. It would be nice if it was organized. So sometimes people have conflicting ideas or whatever, so that they're all kind of together. So this is about this piece of water resources, and this is about that piece of water resources. So you're combining everybody's comments in a logical format that is the same issue.
Noted.
Thank you.
You know, I'll just, we're constantly talking about process here, but I read everyone's comments and I thought they were good. What I didn't find were, these are conflicting. If you as staff have seen conflicting comments, it might be worthwhile to just highlight that so that we can have a conversation on it.
I think Tanya may be prepared to discuss them. And let me put Tanya
Do you
on the
see
spot.
conflicting
Tanya,
comments?
Or yeah, I can provide that discussion. I did want to also point out that I think Phil has had his hand raised, so just pointing that out for the folks who are organizing the meeting, since it's
Okay.
hard to see on the Zoom.
thank you.
Shall we jump to Phil and then come back to you, Tanya?
Sure, that would be great. Thank
Let's
you.
do that. Phil?
Okay, I'll jump in. There you go. I'm in.
You're in.
Now, just as a panelist member, in specific reference to the water resources and agricultural resources elements, I really don't have the experience or expertise, to do a good job of reviewing those elements. But I did want to say that reading through the comments that others have made and that you provided us, to review, I was very appreciative of how focused the comments were, and obviously displaying, a degree of expertise and knowledge that I certainly didn't have. In other words, instead of just, broad spread comments like this could have been done better or something like that, the comments were actually very focused, very specific, and as far as I could tell, very, very valid comments. I just wanted to make that because several people have spent obviously a lot of time on those comments, and I just want to say that as a panelist member, I very much appreciated your efforts.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll second that.
Madam Chair, so
Donna?
am I to understand it is okay to share the comments that we've already received, the 16 pages from today? We can share that with the public, and the public can expand on these, is that correct?
I will get them posted to our county webpage under the GPAC section of the agendas, minutes, and videos.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, and it's interesting because I'm not one that responds well to surveys, but it's helpful to know how this survey is being used, that we really the box looked little, and I thought, I can't say what I need to say in that box, so I'll just say it when I get there. But
Right.
now that I understand how you're intending to use that survey, and it is a survey that allows you to put, I guess, as much as you want in there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it is our overarching goal in these next couple of months to gather and collect all the input that we can for the purpose of informing the final edits of the documents.
Got it. Okay. All right. Any other comments from panelists or GPAC members? Who do we have? We have Marty. Okay, Marty, you're up. You have to unmute.
I
Hello.
tried to do this earlier. I was trying to switch it over to a panelist, but I've had nothing but technical difficulties.
Yeah.
I value a lot of what the survey comments were, especially when it comes to groundwater and monitoring. I think there's some gaping holes there that concern me, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to get that on the survey. So I appreciate this opportunity. I appreciate the time and effort everyone has put in to make those concerns known as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty. And Marty, did you want to identify the gaping holes?
Basically monitoring groundwater sustainability. When I see report after report coming in from the month of January through April, but yet no reports coming in July and August and September and October, which any of those of us who live on wells know that July 1st is the witching hour. That is a big concern for me. So I'm not sure how these monitoring are going to take effect. That's the biggest concern I have.
Could we get a little more detail on what water reports she's talking
So when we're talking about use permits or any kind of permit that comes across to the planning department, the board of supervisors, if water, I'm thinking of, marijuana cultivation, grapes, anything that requires a groundwater report, every report I've seen is done in January, February, March. I don't recall seeing any that show that same aquifer in July, August, September, October.
So you're saying, let me see if I can pick up what you're saying here. You're saying that a policy that would come from that is that the monitoring needs to include the drought months.
Exactly.
That's more of a zoning code cannabis specific issue, but I am making
Well, I'm
very
not
clear.
talking
Grapes, it
about
could be
just
for
cannabis.
anything.
I'm
We don't
talking about
have
grapes. I'm
monthly
talking about
water reports for grapes. We do not regulate the water in community development for anything other than cannabis. So there is no monthly report that is part
No,
of.
I'm not. Okay,
ours
I am
anyway.
not saying a monthly report. I'm talking about the things that I see come across the board of supervisors to be approved for either development of a business, whatever it is that is outside the norm, a variance, whatever. If a water report is required, those reports generally reflect water tables the month of January, February, March, April. I don't ever recall seeing those same reports during those drought months. And I'm not saying that it's a monthly report. I'm just saying
Yeah.
whatever month it's submitted.
Okay, I got it.
So your concern is, and policy-wise, let's go back to the policy level. The policy
Right.
level is that we care about the if we are to require monitoring in any application of any kind, that we should care the most about the months where water is scarce.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Got it.
Clarifying.
Margaret.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe what Marty is referring to are the hydrology reports or the water availability reports that accompany a major or minor use permit, particularly for cannabis cultivation. And in those reports, it is common to see that the hydrology or the water availability study is done during the winter months. And Marty, if I am incorrect, please.
That is
Correct it.
exactly what I was referring to. Thank you.
So water studies should be done at the time when water is an issue, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks so much.
And may I add, I believe that there's a time limit. We see so many hydrology reports, like from 2020, that are just now coming into planning. Shouldn't an updated report be done timely according to CEQA?
Within the last X number of years, yeah, there should be a number that makes sense.
That's a practice that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Actually,
As a
it does.
policy.
Yeah, we do watch over that and do not accept reports that we consider outdated, but it's typically about a 5-year life plan, life.
The ones I'm reviewing now are 2020.
A lot of the water testing comes in during the initial, they include initial permitting, like the well drilling information as well as more recent information. So we do.
All right. Any other GPAC hands raised? No? Okay. Let's move to the next is there, let's move to additional discussion on water resources element.
There were no conflicts noted in the survey on water resources.
Great, thank you. All right, any other comments from the public? Come on up.
Thank you. Just to go back to what you guys were just talking about, and potentially we need to think about implementing thresholds for any project that requires water, responsibility and monitoring. There should be a threshold. If you put this in your plan, you deviate from that, let's say 20%, it triggers a review. But we see a lot where they're really going over what they said they were going to. The other thing is in the water resources goal WR-2, I don't see anything about protecting water resources by limiting transfer of water to outside of Lake County.
There's an ordinance in place, isn't there?
That was an
existing
urgency
law about
ordinance,
that.
and I think it sunsetted.
Did it sunset?
No, it's in the code.
It's still in effect? Okay, for the water haulers?
Oh yeah, it's
I
been in
remember
effect
voting
for
on it.
Yeah, I remember it being
Yeah.
in place, and then they had to do an emergency ordinance 2
that
years.
was regarding something else that was specific to the drought, but this actually predates that. It's part of the code.
Okay.
It would make sense to have there be a policy that supports that ordinance, I suppose.
That would be good to have in the general plan so that people know it's in place. Thank you. Oh, also, is there a spot, Maria, where they talk about dam inundation? Is that going to be in local area plans or is that in general plan?
Tanya, what section would that be in? Dam inundation? Isn't that more like health and safety?
Correct. That would be covered in health and safety.
That's another meeting.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Hold on to that one, Angela. Yeah.
I don't know what
Lisa, right?
Yes, Lisa. I don't know what inundation means, so that might be answering the question that I have. Because the plan is 25 years, I was just wondering, I know Supervisor Crandall and Savatier are working really hard on the Lake Pillsbury and, saving that water, especially for fire resilience. And so I was wondering in the water section, I didn't see it, but I haven't combed through it with a fine tooth comb yet. But I was wondering if maybe we needed to have a section about how we use our water during fire season or how we protect our water for fire resiliency during years of drought. If that's something that isn't addressed, if we could possibly address it, especially if we lose and Pillsbury goes away.
Right. And that should also be in health and safety for fire, but it seems to me that there will be some environmental and water resource implications as well.
Good.
All right. Anyone else from the public? Seeing none?
Madam Chair, I might mention that we do have some people online that are not able to get online yet, like Betsy Kahn.
Oh.
So I'm not
All
sure
right.
how to direct that.
So if you're a member of the committee and you're not online and want to be, go to the revised agenda and click the link there using the code.
Do you have
The revised agenda has the correct Zoom link.
revised agenda?
In the meeting invite? Right. Okay. Yes, we would like to hear from Betsy,
Yeah.
who had
totally.
extensive comments.
Yeah.
All right, and I will promise we'll come back if they do make their way into the meeting. We'll come back to them. So any additional discussion? All right, let's move to the agricultural resources element then.
Could we actually take a break? I really want to capture Betsy's input for water resources.
Yeah, let's
and
do
that
that.
sort of thing.
Okay, let's take a
5-minute
let's
break.
take 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay,
See if we can
5 minute
get her
break.
back
We'll
on.
be back in 5 minutes. We ready? We're ready. Let's we are now reconvening after break, and we have our panelists now in the fold. Betsy, do you have some input that you would like to share on the water resources element? And we got to get her unmuted and yeah, go ahead and unmute.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Unfortunately, I have no idea what the discussion was.
Oh,
I would like to know if my comments were considered
they're in there. Yes.
And was there any discussion about my comments?
There were not, except there was a lot of praise for your comments.
Well, let's hope that's helpful. Thank you so much for helping me get to join the meeting.
Thanks, Betsy. Thanks for hanging in there. And is there anything that you would like to highlight in the comments that you have while you have the floor?
Yeah, I read Carolyn Hillman's comments that she sent out. No, she's not in attendance, about the fact that there's no land use element anymore. So we don't have an integrated picture of land and water together the way we have in the 2008 general plan.
Yeah.
I also submitted in a separate email, which apparently was not distributed to everyone, a commentary on the whole organizational structure of the plan as it stands. I believe that we should have policies and goals at the highest level for every element, and then and not split them up among the various planning area parts. There may be subordinate goals and policies that are applicable to a particular area, but they should all be aligned with the higher echelon elements, and those should be county-wide elements, as in land use and water. I think that the structure does not provide any sense of changes for the goals and policies that have been created for this new version based upon a relationship to the former plan and the changes in the county since 2008, which are profoundly make a profoundly different platform for policy making. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thanks, Betsy. And I think you're hearing a consistent.
Well, one thing I wanted to point out is one of the changes that we did in Lake County 2050 that we did not do in the 2008 was because the land use elements were all variously old and outdated, and because people were concerned that the local area plans did not carry as much weight or was less important than the general plan. That's exactly why we brought them into the general plan this time. It's going to be one document presented to the state so that we can sort of try to visually respond to the concerns that the local area plans are subservient or less than countywide. They are not.
You are hearing you're hearing a common theme, though, that the land use element is a place where we can go and sort of see the picture. And right now we can't see the picture. So it may be as simple as pulling out those common elements and putting them in a policy document so there can be a comparison with 2000.
Oh yeah, we've made note of that comment. I just wanted I wanted to address the local area plan being subservient or lower in importance, just because that's kind of the point of how ambitious Lake County 2050 is.
Got it. All right. Thank you. All right. Thanks for that. Let's move into the agricultural element now. The discussion question is the same. Of the survey's responses, are there any comments on the ag element that you agree or disagree with and feel the need to discuss? I'll pose that question to the GPAC. So,
I would like to comment.
Betsy.
Yes. One thing I noticed, and again, I'm referring to my email about the structure of the plan, is that we have left out an important factor that we concentrated on in our original meetings in the characterization of community growth boundaries. The planning areas sometimes contain more than one community growth boundary, and the agricultural areas are typically outside the community growth boundary. And the linguistic attempt to characterize agricultural areas as communities and obviating the community growth boundary focus means that we give equal weight to a rural area with sparse population and specialized goals and policies instead of identifying the community growth boundaries for development and then leaving the agricultural areas in the non-growth characterization. I think it's a mistake linguistically to leave out that step.
Thank you. Any other specific comments about the comments that were made or about the plan? I guess we'll open it to about the plan. I'll take the moment and make just a few quick comments. On page 10, we talk about wine industry uncertainty. There are many industries in ag that are uncertain: walnuts, pears, cannabis, other crops. So it might be good to call out the major crops in Lake County as opposed to just one. There should be something in the ag element or in the water resources element about looking at the cumulative effect of water usage, especially during declared periods of drought. We have a huge number of grading issues that we've dealt with over time through a grading ordinance. The policies need to reflect strongly that, and that has been the only place that we've been able to deal with, for example, oak tree removal and things like that. It's been in the grading ordinance, so the policies should call that out. Holly pointed this out to me. The entire document uses the word TEK, which tribal environmental knowledge, but there's not a place that's defined. So we're going to have a definitions section, I assume. Hopefully it will be in there.
We do have a glossary chapter, so we'll make sure that that's in there.
Okay, good. There was a goal in the current plan which had to do with the future viability. It was the agriculture research and education goal, and it was to enhance the future viability of Lake County's agricultural resource base through investment in research and education. I don't know where that went.
Could you give us that citation?
It was goal AR4.
In the 2008?
In the 2008 plan.
Okay, AR4?
Yeah.
Okay, good, thanks.
And just like the water element, and actually same is true in health and safety, there seems to be a lot more meat in the document of 2008, and I would like to know what is gone. So I'm going to do the analysis myself, but boy, I think everybody's asking that question. So it's loose enough and it's changed enough. It needs to be as strong as 2008, if not stronger, in my opinion. So those are my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you to Holly for pointing a couple of these things out. Yeah.
I just had, for my own edification, really, to better understand the issues, which are above my head, in a sense. There's several comments that commented on differential standards for different crops. In other words, particularly focusing on cannabis. Is there a rationalization for those differences? I mean, otherwise the comment that they should all be standardized, across the various crops makes sense to me, unless there is something that I don't know that says, no, you really have to have some differentiation here for, legal marijuana cultivation. That, that's just a question I have.
All right, you're asking if there are some reasons why there might be differences.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The other point was again, people commented on, which is that some of the, when you include hortatory statements or, adverbs essentially in front of things like how well is a crop doing, now what you write today may not actually reflect today. And so I guess general comment was we should probably just avoid adding, adverbs and things to, various crops or agricultural areas of enterprise.
Do you have an example? Do you have?
Yeah, I think one person commented that it said that the wine industry in Lake County was a thriving industry, and actually it's not thriving at the moment. Not just in Lake County, but across all of the wine growing counties. Whether that returns to thriving in the future or not, but why even use the term? I mean, it's an important crop certainly, and will continue to be. Not so. It's kind of a trivial comment, I think, but
it could easily be reworded to say significant industry in Lake County. Right.
Or
Substantial.
Yeah, we'll take a look at those adverbs. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you for that. Are there any other? I see another online hand. Betsy Kahn, I see hers.
I just wanted to piggyback on the discussion about the glossary. This is a good example where Phil's comment is related to the terminology that we use. I think it's really, are we going to have a separate meeting to discuss the glossary? Are we going to have input to the glossary? Because I think I've seen several different variations of terms that are used throughout, but they're not defined, and they have to correspond. And if we're going to create the definitions after we approve the content, that could create some conflict. Thank you.
Thanks, Betsy. I don't know if we need a glossary meeting, but I definitely would like an opportunity to take a look, especially.
It is
to review.
available.
Yeah. Margot?
I have topics to introduce under agricultural, and I wish our agricultural representatives were here, and maybe we table this, but I wanted to bring this forward. This is from Scotts Valley. I'll just read part of this. So Lake County can preserve agricultural lands and promote agricultural production, including local food production, by revising its minimum acreage for a parcel zone for agriculture. Determining utility and productivity of land for agriculture should not be tied to a minimum number of acres. Specifically, productive agriculture can occur on parcels smaller than 40 acres. Reducing the minimum parcel size for production agriculture to 20 acres should be considered. The inventory of ag land smaller than 10 acres is low. It is possible to operate a productive and profitable agricultural operation on parcels smaller than 10 acres. Changing the minimum agriculture acreage to 5 acres should be done on a limited trial basis. Regulations need to be carefully written to stop conversion of ag lands to residential use. The potential conflicts between commercial agriculture and residential use are real. If smaller agricultural acreage is allowed, will the farm to right ordinance apply to these parcels? Scotts Valley residents support the agricultural sector and value the preservation of agricultural lands.
Margot, is that, I was at the Scotts Valley meeting and didn't hear that. Is that something that was produced by the Scotts Valley Advisory Committee yet, or was that your public input at that meeting?
This is, the gist of it is going to go to the Scotts Valley Advisory Council, but I thought it was timely to get input from this group on just the concept of going to a smaller parcel than 40.
Okay, but at this point, we have not received any comments from Scotts Valley Advisory Council.
Correct.
Okay, so that is more
It's
conceptual
more of
rather than
more-
representative of a position of that advisory committee.
Correct.
Okay, doke.
All right, thanks. Any other? Betsy Kahn has her hand up still. Is that true?
Yes, I want to say that I heard those comments at the Scotts Valley Advisory Committee. They were provided by Sky Hoyt.
All right.
That is true.
Thank you, Betsy. Donna.
I just have a comment. It's currently the draft promotes agritourism and marketing for traditional crops in policy AR 3.8 and AR 3.11, but entirely excludes cannabis, a major legal agricultural commodity, from these critical economic lifelines. Will that be featured in later on?
Could you say that part again?
Sure.
Sorry, I was writing notes. Not.
We've kind of excluded cannabis as a major legal agricultural commodity from the critical economic lifelines part under economic vulnerabilities. Will cannabis be included more?
That would have been an inadvertent omission. So I will make note that you've noticed that is
It was
missing
in
there.
policies AR 3.8 and 3.11.
3.8 and
Thank you.
3.11. Awesome. Thank you, Donna.
Any other member of the committee have comments on the agricultural resources element? No? All right. Open to the public.
Oh, also, if we could note that Sharon Zoller, who wasn't able to be here today, did present comments at both to the Ag Advisory Committee as well as to this group, and we'll make sure we include those too.
All right. Oh, no, I just wanted to ask a quick question about, it's in the timber resources. It says timber sales from Mendocino National Forest are further declining due to concerns for the spotted owl. But at this week's Risk Reduction Authority meeting, Mr. Abley alluded that the timber harvest would be increasing in the Mendocino National Forest. So I don't know if somebody wants to reach out to him and find out what's going
And
on
is it
there.
the spotted owl or the fires?
I know, but they have to thin it out up there, but they are mindful of that. But he said that they are going to be doing harvesting up there. So,
And that was at the RRA meeting? Cool. Thank you. We'll follow up.
thank you.
Thanks.
I was just going to ask, a question more of ignorance than.
Wait, state your name. I don't know who's talking. Who's talking?
Oh, this is Phil.
Hey, Phil.
Hi. Here, I'll show you. Hey, here I am. The issue of what constitutes agricultural land in terms of the size of what comes on definition is certainly an interesting one. And what little knowledge I have, based on my own experience, tells me that a 5 acre, if you have 5 acres and you plant that in premium wine grapes, that's financially viable. I mean,
In the past.
yeah, I mean, you can grow enough grapes that you can land a contract, with a winery or make your own. I mean, you could have a boutique winery yourself, because the grapevines are so prolific. But what I don't know, is, well, what's the implications of that? If you were to change it from 40 acres all the way down to 5, what effects would that have? That's the more interesting question, isn't it?
Yeah, I will ask that question. What are the effects if you go from 40 to 10 or to 5?
Historically, and this was including in the 2008 general plan update where we had just a specific ag element advisory committee, there was robust discussion with a strong desire to subdivide these parcels into smaller parcels. But the position the board took then was that at about 10 acres, and this also came up with another group that helped design the winery zoning code development standards. At about 10 acres, it's really a residential ranchette. It's not a commercial ag parcel.
10 and below.
Right. And if you could sell 5 acres of grapes, you definitely can't do 5 acres of walnuts. We've seen that crash and burn over the years too. So that is why the board has always taken a very strong position to not reduce lower than 40. Understanding there was a strong desire to be able to sell your land,
Right, and there's
which there
pressure for
continues to be all the
development, is what you're
time.
saying. There's
Yeah.
pressure for development of homes on parcels.
Exactly. But because there is finite agricultural soils, there's always been a very strong protection of maintaining larger parcel sizes.
Do you believe that by dropping it to 10, that it would it would lead to more subdivision of the
Yes.
40 parcels?
I have no
Is there a
doubt,
way
because we get continual inquiries.
Is there a way to prevent that but still have?
Yes, we maintain the 40-acre minimum parcel size for ag.
Okay.
Otherwise, if it's a 10-acre parcel, okay, so think about it this way. You've got about 80 acres of a walnut orchard with a house on it. In ag land, it is very restrictive what other types of development you could do. So let's say on RL, you've got a 60-acre parcel of land, but somehow it's relatively flat and it could be subdivided to 20 acres. Even if you don't subdivide it to 20 acres, you could have a second primary residence on there. And each primary residence is also allowed at least one ADU and a junior ADU. So you could have 6 residences on a 60-acre or 40-acre RL parcel. But whereas agriculture, let's say you've got the 40-acre parcel, it can't be divided. You're allowed one primary residence, an ADU or a JADU, but any future residences have to be tied to the commercial agriculture on that property. So we're very strict as far as what is allowed to be developed.
Now, what happens to parcels that are already zoned ag but are smaller than 40 acres?
Those predate the 40-acre minimum. They cannot be subdivided. We don't let them do a lot line adjustment usually, or any further subdividing. So they're kind of static where they are. But we recognize we don't move them out of ag either, though, because we want to, we plan for future occurrences, and those could be absorbed into adjacent ag parcels.
So you would encourage them to combine.
Exactly.
But you won't allow any other movement.
Correct.
Okay.
Are there tax implications for the designations? For example, is agricultural land, I believe, taxed differently than, say, residential land?
Yes.
If I own 30 acres of wine grapes, but I can't get a ag designation because it's less than 40. Does that have major implications for me in terms of property taxes?
Major is a relative term, and I don't want to imply that I have any sort of deep understanding of taxation, but I do know that especially parcels that are within the Williamson Act, that has even further restrictive development possibilities as a trade-off for having significantly lower property taxes. So yes, there are taxation implications for each type of land use.
As a follow-up to Phil's question, if he has 30 acres of land that's in wine grapes and it's not zoned ag, is it prohibited to convert that to ag even though it's below 40 acres, given that you do have?
We would take a look at, typically, you can have wine grapes and orchards and cannabis fields and things like that in rural lands, which are not typically your class 1 through 4 prime ag soils, which is one of the criteria for zoning something in ag, as well as, let's say you've got RL, you've got these steep slopes. That's not typically our prime ag either. And so that could qualify for a Williamson Act for rangeland grazing and protections there, for that, but not necessarily be able to be rezoned to ag.
Got it.
We do not take taxation implications into our consideration when we're doing rezones.
Got it. All right.
Interesting.
Thank you, Phil.
It's, in California, I know it's been a major issue. In Southern California, the entire huge area that constitutes northern Los Angeles County and Santa Clarita, all was agricultural land at one time. And it was truly agricultural. We're grazing and crops and everything until the county there decided to define agriculture in a different way, which caused the owners of all that land to now face being taxed at what the county called best and highest use.
Which was homes and shopping centers.
Which was homes, and businesses. Homes and businesses. And
it was the loss of those finite ag soils that sort of spurred the state legislature to establish the Williamson Act.
Got it.
Madam Chair, a point of point of clarification. Cannabis is ag, but the land size will depend on where it is?
Cannabis is considered an agricultural product, an agricultural process, not an agricultural commodity. And it is regulated through Article 27 differently than, like, we don't regulate conventional agriculture
Thank you.
in our zoning.
Got it. All right. Any other public, we have a hand raised, I see. Betsy?
Yeah, Maria's comment, just the last comment that she made is very, very important. We don't regulate, what did you say, Maria? We don't regulate.
We, being community development, does not regulate conventional agricultural practices,
Conventional agricultural practices.
which is everything except cannabis.
Well, I think that the example that Phil gave is very valuable. I really think that there needs to be some way to differentiate the allowable development options for land that is, I guess, zoned agriculture in order to encourage small farming. Because on the, in a different context, the Board of Supervisors created the Food Policy Council. We've had numerous discussions about how to encourage the growing of food products, consumable food products locally, knowing that it is extremely difficult for somebody to buy 40 acres, but 5 acres or even 2 acres of vegetables is a valuable contribution to our food supply. And so finding a way to distinguish the use of the land from the zoning of the land and make it allowable and incentivized, in other words, reduce the tax cost. If you're not building a house but you're growing vegetables, you're not making a big profit off of that. I think that's a very valuable point for us to look at.
Yeah, I would agree.
To make it possible.
Thank you, Betsy. All right, any other hands raised? No? We've already opened it to the public. Any other comments from the GPAC on this element? Okay. Let's move. Now, I was going to circle back to, was it Tanya? Andrea. Anyone else?
Yeah, for B, the project team identified comment conflicts.
Yes.
Yes, hi, I will cover that. Andrea Howard with PlaceWorks. Nice to see you all. There are 2 that we identified, sets of comments that were in potential conflict. They both pertain to cannabis, so I'll go over the first one now. This is related to comments from Betsy Cowan and Carolyn Hillman. Ms. Cowan suggests that cannabis-related activities should take place in industrial areas, while Ms. Hillman supports treating cannabis exactly as any other crop. So any cannabis-supporting activities being also able to take place on agriculture designated land is Carolyn's. Then that's what Carolyn's comment would mean. So if you all would like to discuss that one, or I can.
Is there a desire to
name
discuss
the next comment?
Is there a desire to discuss this?
I retract my comment.
Betsy retracts her comment, then there's no conflict.
There's no conflict.
Okay,
that's
wonderful.
funny, Betsy. Good job. Okay.
This second potential conflict is again between Ms. Hillman and this is one of your comments, and Madam Chair, her comment calls explicitly for including agritourism for licensed cannabis operations. One of your comments, Madam Chair, said that more guidance is needed with regards to agritourism, and then stated that the Board of Supervisors has interpreted this too broadly in the past, and it needs to be clarified, particularly the building of commercial structures like tasting rooms or stores. So not in direct conflict, but there's potential there. So we wanted to open it up in case you'd like to provide any clarification for us all.
I don't have any more to say. My comment stands as, I do feel that the board has interpreted it quite broadly in the past, ag tourism, which is anybody who wants to develop commercial would love to do it on ag land because ag land is cheaper typically. So, you know, if you open the door a little, it'll open a lot. And the wine industry at the time was asking for a certain square footage, and the board decided in all its wisdom to double what they were asking for, which I thought was insane. And it seems to me that we ought to be very careful about commercial development on ag land.
Right. So Article 27, specific to that, we had a lot of inquiries regarding like just event centers that are not agricultural related on ag land, and that's not allowed. They have to be ag related.
Fair enough.
However, I could add, oh, I'm sorry, Angela, if I could just add one more moment, but please feel free to, you do that, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm not running your
You're ready,
meeting.
you go first.
The board has approved in concept a number of additional cannabis-related businesses that are connected to ag tourism, like possible retail at cultivation sites. So they will be considering that during the Article 73 public hearings, which do not have a timeline yet because I'm still working on Article 27 amendments.
So my question around that is there any need that this be addressed in the general plan when in fact it would require a special use permit of some kind?
No, actually, on a policy level, the ag element should voice its support for diversification of agricultural businesses, support for the agricultural economy, things like that. That's policy level. And then the nuts and bolts get rolled out through the zoning ordinance.
Right, and state the need for those businesses, but also for the preservation of ag land and ag way
Exactly.
of life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Come on up.
I think.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got somebody. Hang on there. Is that Phil?
Yeah.
Phil, wait one moment. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to, I'm a little hesitant to put anything cannabis related in the general plan because it's still a federally regulated product. So I don't know, is that something that we really want to put in the general plan? I mean, we can say ag and this is what we do, but in our local area plans and general plan, is this something that we want in writing and is it still federally regulated? It's just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Phil.
I don't know the answer to that question, but being a native of Northern California, I mean, ag, what we're calling ag tourism, the use of tasting rooms and nice facilities, like Bass over in the Valley. I mean, it's an essential part of the wine industry to bring people to your vineyards and host events. To me, tourism even includes weddings and local events held at the winery. Napa and Sonoma counties have been going back and forth on that, of course, for several years now, through at least a couple of lawsuits. I guess my opinion is that is part and parcel of the wine industry, is our facilities that cater to people purchasing, your wine on site. Used to be in California, it was against the law to sell beer, manufactured beer on the site in which it was manufactured, by the way, until they got that law changed. But I guess that's just my opinion, is that to provide for a thriving wine industry, it has to include this element of people traveling to your site and being entertained or, otherwise have something there for them. Obviously, typically they spend money in other places as well if they're traveling, to your site from the Bay Area or east of us coming over here. So, yeah.
Thank you. I don't think there's been any disagreement with that.
No, and in fact, the current zoning code, the use permits that go to wineries do allow for a certain number of non-promotional events. So that would be those would be like a wedding or an event that's not tied to the actual winery or wine industry.
Exactly. Margot.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Supporting diversification of ag, that's hard to argue. I think we all agree that that is a good thing to do for Lake County. One of the shortcomings, though, is we have to, well, we should, I won't say we have to, it would be helpful to keep in mind what the reality is now, is that if we are promoting diversification of ag, such as special events into rural lands, when our roads are atrocious and we know that they are not fire safe compliant in the parlance of CAL FIRE 4290 compliant. The reality is that there are major and minor use permits throughout the county for projects that are on roads that are not 4290 compliant. And if those projects or those project permit owners are allowed to host these special events or have retail in the hinterlands, that can pose a health and safety danger to neighbors, especially when there is no review done for that special event permit as has been proposed. So I just caution,
And no,
keep your neighbors in mind, please.
exactly. We have a hand raised. It looks like I can read it from here. Marty?
Thank you. As we discuss this further and further about inclusion of marijuana cultivation more into the agriculture, that's much more concern over going to smaller lot sizes or availability. I love the farm idea. I love, food on the table idea. But again, as we include these other industries into the ag fold, we need to keep those in mind, because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So leave it at that.
Yeah, unintended consequences. All right. Thank you, Marty. Any other hands raised for the GPAC? All right. Any comments from the public on this topic?
Madam Chair.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, I didn't see you over there.
No worries. Thank you. Just perhaps a topic for the future to include in the general plan, and that is there is a development, and we've seen it. There's interest in solar farming. Well, beyond that, it's not just solar farming, but it's farming beneath the panels, and that is a growing interest. And so I think, of course, we want to get more input from our ag representative, Sharon Zoller, on what the agriculture community feels about this. But maybe we just have a placeholder that it would be good to explore. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Any members of the public want to speak on this topic? This would be your time. I also have somebody coming up behind you faster than you're moving.
I just had a quick question. On page, it's the Agricultural Resources 13, and then it has AR-2.E, and it has an asterisk. What does the asterisk refer to? Because I'm not seeing it at the bottom of the page.
Andrea?
Hi. The asterisk indicates if a policy is mitigating or with regards to the environmental impact report. And so if that policy is or action is one that would impact the plan's ability to be mitigating an identified potential impact.
Okay, so on page AR-13, you have AR-2.E as amend Article 27. So is that because it's going for the EIR? Is that why it has the asterisk?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the page number? And
yes, it's AR-13. And then it's item AR-2.E.
Okay, so that action is then identified as being necessary to mitigate identified impacts that would otherwise be a potential impact in the environmental impact report.
Okay, can we add a notation in here so that people know in the future?
Yeah, it's in the general plan overview document, but you're correct, it is not in this document.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would just like to comment that use of the asterisk in various parts of the plan needs to be explained. Anytime you have an asterisk, you need to explain what it's for.
You put it at the bottom, I guess.
Out on the page.
Yeah, I mean, that's throughout the document. Thank you.
Thanks. Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephen, a resident of Clear Lake. I want to begin with something older than policy, older than zoning, older than any plan we could devise, the land itself. In every handful of soil, there is a memory of rain, of roots, of fire, and of people who tended this place with respect for thousands of years before any of us arrived. The first peoples of this region understood that the land is not a backdrop for our decisions. It is the first priority. In 1937, as the Dust Bowl tore across our nation, President Franklin Roosevelt wrote to every governor advocating for a unified soil conservation law with this warning: the nation that destroys soil destroys itself. Nearly 90 years later, California still has no uniform soil conservation law. The laws of man have grown thick and tangled, but the laws of nature remain simple. If we neglect the soil, that neglect will return upon us. This is why I am here today. Chapter 4 of the Agricultural Resources element protects farmland by preserving development or by preventing a development. But it does not protect the soil itself. Healthy soil is not a luxury. It is the foundation of drought resistance, clean water, low costs for growers, and the long-term survival of agriculture in Lake County. I have sent to each of the committee's members a proposal for a Lake County Soil Health Initiative, a voluntary incentive program that rewards landowners for improving the soil over time. No penalties, no mandates, just a partnership with the land that benefits everyone. Because when we restore the soil, we restore relationship with the land, and everything else follows. Any agricultural landowner can enroll. The county provides a baseline soil test and a follow-up test 7 years later. If the soil shows measurable improvement, higher organic material, better structure, better water holding capacity, the landowner receives a modest incentive, a small per acre payment, a small tax credit, or a grant to continue soil building. Maybe even a big, beautiful blue ribbon to be awarded at the county fair. The health of the land is the health of the people, and our planning should reflect that truth. If we do this right, Lake County can become a place where the lessons of the Dust Bowl and the wisdom of the first people finally shape a better future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments from the public? Betsy, your hand up.
Well, Madam Chair, I had forgotten that my hand was up, but I would like to get a copy of what that gentleman just read to you.
It's in your email, Betsy.
It's in your email, Betsy. That's what he says.
Thank you. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Also the speech and the proposal.
Thank you. Let's wrap up the agricultural resources element. Any final thoughts that haven't been shared? All right. Maria, I'll turn it over to you for next steps.
Awesome. So we have, good. We've covered 2 elements. Yay! Very excited. Thank you again. We've been taking notes like crazy. Placeworks is going to generate a final meeting notes that we'll review and get posted on the county website. As well as, Stephen, you emailed me your presentation, right? Okay, good. I'll put that in there for public input. Also include Sharon's and Carolyn's and the summary of the survey results. So our next meeting, Tanya, why don't you tell us when our next meeting is and what it's about?
Happy to. And I actually have a slide. I was just going to pull it up. Sorry, that's the wrong thing. Sorry. Wrong thing. There we go. So yeah, we have a slide that gives you the summary of next steps. So yeah, our next meeting is on April 3rd. It's 2 weeks, I believe, from today. And we're going to be covering geothermal resources and agricultural resources elements. You have a survey for those elements similar to what we did for today's meeting. And we're asking that you complete those survey responses by March 16th. And then 2 weeks after that, about 2 weeks after that, on the 17th, will be your...
No, wait, that's supposed to be March 25th.
I apologize. March 25th for, sorry, which meeting?
Yep, March 25th for the geothermal and noise survey link.
Hang on.
Wait a minute.
Today,
Yeah.
Today's the 20th.
Oh, sorry. The survey, the deadline for the survey, you're saying?
Mm-hmm. So that we can
Apologize for
get
that.
our responses out to you by Friday, March 27th, which is the Friday before
basically
the
gives us 2 business days to do it.
25th? Ah. How about if we get you the compilation of all survey responses by Monday, whatever the Monday before April 3rd is? Will that work for everybody? That still gives them enough time for us to post it on the agenda and them to review it. And then if, let's see, so that would mean, wait, I don't know if I'm improving it at all. Hold on. Let me look at a calendar.
I apologize, folks, if I can maybe suggest, can we put that as Friday, the 27th? I believe that's what was in the email directions.
The deadline.
Okay, so
for the
then the survey link closes Friday, the 27th,
Okay.
Oh.
and we'll get the compilation out by when? Because that's not in the email that I have.
Well, that's a good question. We were planning to do it on Monday, the 30th. There was a comment from a GPAC member today that had requested that we organize those comments.
How about if we
to
get them
identify
out by
any-
Wednesday,
any
the
conflicts.
1st? That's about the same time when we're going to post it online as well.
It's easier to read and compare than it is to write them. So yeah, that works.
Does that work for y'all,
Mm-hmm.
team?
Yes.
Okay, good. So then just to reiterate, survey link will close by Friday, the 27th. We will get it compiled in the new format, which is subject kind of specific, or survey question or topic response specific, by the 1st. And on the 1st, we will also post the agenda with the meeting link, because this is another hybrid meeting, and the summary of the survey on the 1st. That way the public has the same amount of time to review prior to the meeting on the 3rd.
Okay.
Sound good? Awesome. We can do that.
All right.
I will hand it back to you for adjournment if there's nothing else, Tanya or Andrea.
Okay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.